how much they're... Guess who's back? Back again. Vince Dow is back. It's so true. We are back here in the great state of Florida. I don't want to waste anyone's time, even though I just sang a stupid song in the beginning. I swear I mean it. Welcome to the Vince Dow Show. We are back here in the normal studio, and we've got quite the show for you tonight. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Be honest, that was the greatest intro in the history of this show, and you know it. But we are live back from the great state of Florida. Welcome, Galaxy Brainers, to the Vince Dow Show. I am your host, Vince Dow. Hope you all had a great weekend. We are back here, and before we begin, everyone be sure to leave a like right now on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. As usual, we do this show live every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're brand new to the channel, which I knew channel's been doing well over the last couple days, be sure to join us. We do the weekly show every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time during the week. We're currently at 18 likes. Let's get those numbers up, folks. Let's get to 50 likes. And if you want to support the show, or you have a question or comment that you want read and answered on the stream, feel free to send it in via a super chat. I will be checking these super chats regularly throughout the night. And as usual, we do our Q&A portion at the end of the show. One last housekeeping thing before we begin. We will probably do a members block tonight. So that's like a second part of the show that we cut it off and then do a second live stream like that in the next hour for the members. Reason being, there's a lot of news. I don't think I have time to cover it, so we're going to talk on the members block tonight about Transformers turning transgender. Yes, you heard it here first. And also, I need to talk about the fact that Lindsey Graham went out there today and basically said, yes, we Republicans do want to come for Social Security, which is political suicide. And, that man, Lindsey Graham, I think he's actually negative weight to the Republican Party. Metaphorically, you could not have a bigger walking suicide bomb in this party than Lindsey Graham, okay? So we're going to talk all about that tonight. Again, Lindsey Graham going out there right before the 2024 election and saying, actually, we do want to take Social Security. You know, the things that Republicans always deny that they want to do. So not a good look for the party. We'll be talking about that. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, before I get into the Hour of Dow, let me really quickly read 2 super chats we got, just so I don't forget about them. Daniel McQuaid for $2.79 Canadian says, we are back. It is true. We are so back. We are back home where we belong. LA was fun. But, I don't have to climb to the top of a mountain to do the show anymore. If you know, you know. So thank you for the $2.79. And VB Bear for $2 says, I would love to debate Joe Walsh. Well, Joe Walsh is the libertarian, quote unquote, guy who ran against Donald Trump in the 2020 primary. I remember who exactly that is. And yeah, that would be quite fun. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, enough talk. Let's get into the Hour of Dow, because I checked the time. It says it's the Hour of Dow. Okay, you see that? You see. I know how to read. Most kids my age, we don't know how to read analog. I can. That says Hour of Dow. All right, so let's get into the news tonight. Well, I could have opened tonight by talking about this Durham Report. That's, if you don't know, if you're totally unfamiliar with the whole investigation stuff, that's this special counsel investigation into the investigation of the Russia collusion probe. Basically, it's the probe that exposes Hillary and Democrats and the FBI for actually just setting up the whole Russia collusion hoax. And that full report has been released a few hours ago. But honestly, let me just say it. Who cares? Do we really care? Do you care? Do I care? Because yes, I mean, to an extent, yes, it is important. The whole thing was corrupt from the start, but also, let's be real, who's going to be held accountable for it? Is anyone going to be held accountable? Will Hillary Clinton's people be held accountable? No. Will the FBI be held accountable? No. So why is it even worth caring about or talking about? We already know how corrupt the FBI and the national security state is. That's no surprise to anyone. And so at this point, if nothing's going to be done, if no one's going to be held accountable, then what I really have to say about it is, why even talk about it? Why even care? It's just going to make us more mad because we're going to sit here and complain like we did for 7+ years at this point. Look how corrupt the Democrats are using the national security state, blah, 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 this and that. Same exact story. And so I'm not even going to cover it tonight, okay? If it becomes a really big thing in the news, I'm not going to cover it. Again, that was released today. You can go read it yourself. I'm sure Fox News is making a big deal out of it. But again, my perspective, if no one's going to do anything about it, then I don't care. So with that said, let's just start the news tonight with something a little more fun. And that's the fact that when I was in LA last week, I went on the Tacos and Shawarma podcast and debated a liberal on the issue of homelessness in California. Here is one of the highlights of that.
Right? This is something that don't tread on me. I value my liberty. And I think they value their liberty just as much to say, fuck off. Right? So this idea of coercion, you are now impeding on my liberty as a homeless person drugged out.
We don't care about their liberties.
So,
I don't care about
so then why should we care about yours?
No. Listen. So, okay, if you want this to truly be an issue of don't tread on me liberty, which again, I didn't really say I'm a libertarian conservative, but regardless, let's take it from that perspective. They don't have the property rights to be there, right? So the basic premise of kind of that libertarian philosophy is everything's based on property rights, a non-aggression principle, right? So by camping out illegally and not paying and, whatever it is, they don't have property. You're not saying you have to get off this street. Who owns the street? You could argue the public, the government, whatever. But, it's not within your liberty to go and camp in my yard. And I would say from the same perspective, it's not your liberty to go and take resources that belong to the public without the public's consent and just say, I'm going to live here, right? I don't think that telling homeless people to get off the street and go somewhere else or saying you're not allowed, you can go be somewhere, but you're not allowed to be here. I don't think that's anti-liberty at all. I think that's protecting the liberty of public. It's protecting the property rights of others. And, that's a big problem in California is they don't protect the property rights of others. I know if you're a tenant here trying to rent out, you're renting out from a landlord. The tenant's rights out here, quote unquote, it's very hard to actually evict someone. I don't know the exact process. I just know it's difficult. And so I would say that if you're going to take the liberty perspective, you have to recognize that it's an issue of property rights, and homeless people don't have property rights if they don't have property and they're on someone else's. So,
all right, I'm hiring him to be my lawyer.
So true. So yeah, that full podcast will be out soon, but there he was saying that homelessness is an issue of liberty for the homeless. Okay. So I posted the full sort of part from that segment on my channel. You can go watch the full video, and I'm sure a lot of you probably already have today. But, just kind of want to talk about that exchange really quickly since we just came off of it. This guy right here, he keeps on trying to corner me. If you watch this entire debate, on basically saying that my approach to the homeless issue is not conservative. That's what he keeps trying to say, okay? So keep in mind, he is a liberal, so, he doesn't really even understand what I believe anyway. But he asked me, how would I fix the homeless situation in California? And then I tell him, I say, there's no perfect solution, but if I were the governor, I would say off the streets and out of the city, right? Especially California has a big desert, so I would say, especially for the druggies, we're going to reopen the asylums, right? We're going to build a big institution for them all the way out in the desert. We'll put them all on a bus. Heck, I'll pay for the bus. I don't care if taxpayers pay for the bus. At least, use it for something once and not slavery reparations, right? We'll put them on the bus, send them out there. Hopefully we can rehab them, but if not, at least they're not on the streets, right? At least they're not defecating all over the place, leaving their needles everywhere and stabbing people. Because in my view too, I think it's a regional pride thing, it's a state pride thing, it's a national pride thing. The last thing you want, LA and San Francisco are two of America's most iconic cities. The last thing you want is that being the image of your state and of your country, okay? So that's what I said. I said, how I would fix the homeless situation in California. All right, we're going to build a big drug asylum, mental asylum. We're going to reopen the institutions, put it out in the Mojave Desert, endless space. You want to build a stupid freaking wind turbine out there that's like thousands of miles long. Okay, then let's build a big mental institution or a few different ones, and let's send all the homeless people out there, okay? And then if you watch the exchange, the liberal guy on the panel tries to say, oh, well, but building all that and sending them out there would be expensive, right? That costs money. So he says, how do you reconcile that with the principle of limited government? To which I first said, okay, first of all, I'm not a libertarian. Okay, yes, I generally prefer for the government to stay out of that stuff, but I don't have any specific principle on it. I don't have any super strict principle that says I never can use government power as a conservative. Again, I'm not a libertarian. Secondly, someone in the comments actually brought this up, and this was pretty insightful, which is that especially if we as conservatives say we want a smaller federal government, which I generally do because the federal government kind of sucks, then it is up for states and localities to fix issues like homelessness. And if that means that state governments get a little bit bigger to solve statewide issues, to be more autonomous from the federal government, I don't think that violates any conservative principles at all. I think that's actually a healthy exercise of federalism. And then thirdly, and most importantly, it's an issue of public safety, right? The homelessness issue in LA is endangering public safety. That's really all there is to it. You hear about the stabbings, you hear about the needles, you hear about the feces, the sanitation issues. I'm not an anarchist. I think it is the government's job to protect the public, especially considering in the 21st century, to a large extent, government has legislated, we have legislated away a lot of the power of our own protection to the government. So the government might as well do its job and actually act on that, right? This freaking fly has been flying around like all afternoon, and I can't kill it. And I missed it again. Okay, anyways, on the same topic. Different topic, I mean. And then he brings up, as you see here in the final clip, oh, but what about their liberty, right? You say don't tread on me, but on the other hand, how can you defend actually solving the homelessness crisis? And then you see in that clip, I say, A, again, not a libertarian. B, it's about property rights, right? Homeless people, you can't say that cleaning up the homeless off the street is impeding on their property rights because they don't own property. By definition, they're on someone else's property. They're on the public's property, the taxpayer's property, which homeless people aren't really filing W-2s and 1099s and 1040s, I'd have to imagine. So, that's what there is to it. It's not an issue of property rights. If they want autonomy, then find somewhere to live, right? So find property to live in. So anyways, that was that portion of the podcast. It was quite fun. The full podcast will be released soon on, again, the channel's called Tacos and Shawarma. I don't think I have it linked right now. I'll try to link it after this. But yeah, so be sure to check out that podcast in full when it is posted. And one last thing, on a more personal note, a lot of people saw that video. They said they really liked it and stuff. That got me thinking, okay, chat, listen, public proposal time. You guys, and just people in general, the internet seems to like this whole sit-down podcast style of thing where two sides sit down, they debate, you have a little panel dynamic. It's good content, right? And I know you guys like to see me in it. That's like some of my most popular content. The problem is, as I've said before, I don't really have the space in here to do that. But I was talking with my roommate about this today, and we were like, what if we started like one of those types of red pill style, but more political podcast just out in the living room? Okay, I was thinking about this, all right? I want to know what you guys think, because I'm in college, right? I go to the University of Florida. I don't really have liberal friends, if I'm going to be honest, but I bet you, right, if I went on Reddit and Yik Yak and just posted about it, we could probably get some liberals to respond, I'd have to imagine. Maybe some conservatives too. We'd, rotate. And we could start, chat, I don't know what you think of this, maybe on Fridays or something, we could start one of those debate-style podcasts, kind of like Tim Pool or Joe Rogan, whatever, out in the living room, right? I think this is a great idea. I don't know what you guys think. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking very strongly about this. The only one problem, and I will admit this in humility, the only obstacle is money, okay? Because it will be freaking expensive. Because you'd have to buy like 2 or 3 more podcast mics and the equipment for that. It's not cheap. You have to get a whole nother studio light. I'm not going to bore you with all the logistics. It'd be quite expensive. But I also kind of think it'd be a smart investment, right? Because I could see being a podcast that goes pretty viral, right? Makes the money back. So here's what I'll say. First of all, I want to know what you guys think of that. Secondly, if you're interested in making this idea succeed, we don't have a network. We don't have like an investors. I'm not propped up by anyone, right? So if you'd be willing to donate, and I know we got super chats and throughout the night and stuff, all donations, if you want to help us set up a studio to do a podcast like that, would be greatly appreciated. Again, bring in liberal college kids, sit them down, and have a little panel dynamic. It would be fun, okay? So if you're watching live, if you want to support that project, feel free to help out via the super chats. The super chats this month are all going to go to hopefully building that studio. And if you're watching on the replay, I have my donation links down in the description, okay? So just go in the description. They're all there. Again, it's all appreciated. It will go to making this idea happen if you guys like it. And I would say this. I would say if a quarter to half of you watching, not everyone, because everyone obviously not. If a quarter to a half of you watching between this and between the replay donated like $5 to $10, we would have the money to do this. Okay, just to give you the idea of the scale. So again, if you want what you saw in that clip to become a permanent format and us to set up a podcast like that, again, your donations would all be greatly appreciated. God bless you in advance. Just want to let you know it's something we are thinking about. But all right, guys, with that said, before we get on to our next story here, I got to talk about the Trump-DeSantis debate. But first, I got to catch up with your super chats, ladies and gentlemen. And again, all super chats tonight and this month are going to the podcast studio fund, okay, out there. All right, if we all agree this is a good idea, then let's do it. Let's commit to it, okay? So I appreciate it very much, guys. All right. Let's see here. Lionoz Romans 5:8 for $2 says, give a message of endorsement for at romans58.gospel. Yes, be sure to follow at romans58.gospel on Instagram, and do not ask why he has weird foghorn leghorn memes on the Instagram. So true. All right, Burgundy Blue for $2 says, hope you enjoyed your time with family in California. I did. Mother's Day and all that, which hope you guys had a happy Mother's Day, by the way. Forgot to address that, okay? Happy Mother's Day, belated. And yeah, but it's great to be back. It's great to be, actually in Eastern time. I don't know how anyone does media in Pacific time. It's impossible. I don't know how people do it. But anyways, Zachary for $5, thank you very much, says, your Marin Tet lesson for the day. Don't ever trust the grass shoulder. I did on my work truck and got stuck for half an hour. No one got hurt, though. Thank you for the $5. Sorry to hear that. So yeah, if you're listening, never park on the grass shoulder. Okay, not even once. All right. Jack Schaefer became a DAO General member. We love to see it. Thank you for joining the membership, Jack. Zeb Boykin for $10, sorry. Thank you very much. Zeb Boykin says, for an assault gun for the fly. I know what you're talking about. I used to have one of those. I have one of those in California, one of the bug salt guns, but I did not bring it with me. Thank you for the $10 very much. Burgundy Blue sends a member chat saying, in an old New Yorker voice, you conservatives are monsters. Don't you know that 6 Brazilian people died of COVID? Don't you know how much a Brazilian is? But it must be huge. So true, Burgundy Blue. Thank you very much. Dollar for Dollar sends a membership chat for 3 months, says Lindsey Graham did the GOP version of Beto, saying, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Thanks, FDR. Would you let me go on the Living Room podcast for a plane ride? I think that is a fair trade. You can just come on. We don't have to make an exchange. You can just come on. Thank you, Dollar for Dollar. I appreciate it. Again, thanks for the super chats, guys. All super chats tonight are going to the podcast fund, the podcast studio fund. Okay, let's do it. I think it's a great idea. Thanks for the super chats, guys. I'll read more as they come, but let's continue and let's transition here. All right. Well, pulls up next story because he's the Mr. Producer. All right, transitioning here. I hate to do it, but we gotta weigh in on the Trump-DeSantis debate. I know, I hate to do it. It is the most toxic thing on the right wing by far, but, it's in the news. We gotta talk about it because after a successful CNN town hall last week, liberals, but let's be honest, mainly Ron DeSantis supporters, are now attacking Donald Trump for allegedly canceling his rally in Iowa on Saturday over a tornado warning. Now, full disclaimer before we talk about this. As I have said, I support Donald Trump, but I'm also not one of these paid shills who just despises Ron DeSantis or thinks Ron DeSantis is a neocon. I like Ron DeSantis. I think he's I think actually what he's doing as a governor is historically important. I'll go so far as to say that. So I have respect for people who support Ron DeSantis. I hope that is reciprocal. I'm not one of these bad faith Trump actors or DeSantis actors or whatever. But what I have said is I don't think that all this bad faith slander on both sides is going to make for a productive primary, right? And so what I have maintained on both sides is that I think genuine debates about each candidate's strengths and weaknesses are healthy, okay? But I also think that just throwing out stupid and ridiculous nonsense at each other, especially when we basically do want similar things for the country, is not going to do a lot for us, okay? And I've said that. I've said that on both sides. So I've defended Ron DeSantis from bad faith stuff too, but especially the Disney stuff and some people going out there saying that Ron DeSantis was wrong to go after Disney just because they were trying to shill for a different candidate. And I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. Of course, Ron DeSantis was right to go after Disney. But in this case, I have to defend Trump from what some, but I mean, not all, but some DeSantis people are honestly throwing at him. So long story short, because we just got informed of a tornado warning in Des Moines, Iowa, which is where the rally is. Now, for the record, whatever you think about this situation, for the record, it is true that there was a tornado warning until 7 p.m. Saturday in Des Moines, Iowa. You see that screenshot right there? That I Googled when this was all happening. When this was happening, I Googled, looked up weather in Des Moines, Iowa. Newsflash, you know, there it is. There it was a real tornado watch in Des Moines, Iowa. Okay, fact check, true. But what the DeSantis people are kind of saying here is that, oh, he didn't really cancel because of the tornado warning and the bad weather, which again was real. He canceled it because, oh, the turnout sucked. He canceled it because there was nobody there. Well, first of all, you know, you might call this cope. You might say I'm making excuses, and perhaps I am. But could it maybe be true that the reason that turnout sucked so bad was because the weather was going to be bad that day, right? People get up, they look on their phone, they say, oh, 80% chance of thunderstorm at 4 p.m. I don't really want to go out in that. You know, I'm just saying it's possible. It'd be something to consider. And also, secondly, I remember even seeing this in my email. Any of you guys who are subscribed to the Trump email list have seen this too. Trump did advertise, right, that this rally was going to be admission for all, right? Did you see that email? I got that email that day, and I don't even live in Iowa. Guaranteed admission to the Trump rally. So maybe people were less stressed about forming lines early in the morning like they usually do. I don't know. You might say I'm making excuses. You might say that's all cope. I'm just saying it's a possibility. These reasons do make sense. They could check out, all right? Regardless, even if you want to conclude that it was all a lucky coincidence, it doesn't change the fact, again, yeah, he got, it was a lucky excuse to cancel the rally. It doesn't change the fact, again, that there was a real tornado warning in Des Moines, Iowa that day. Okay, maybe it was lucky for him, right? Maybe he dodged a bullet. But that's still an undisputable fact that the tornado warning was real. So I don't know why you guys are out on Twitter arguing that Trump should have done the rally, right? There was no tornado. Why didn't Trump do the rally? The tornado warning wasn't real. But it was, though. It literally was, though. But I want to give you kind of an insight as to what some of these haters are saying about it, okay? So here's one example. This DeSantis supporter says, that sky looks pretty scary. They're being sarcastic. Look, the sky is clear, right? Trump canceled because only 300 people showed up all day. Anyone who isn't a Trump apologist knows this. They actually know it, too. Okay. So I guess apparently because the sky is clear outside, that means there's no danger of a thunderstorm or tornado in the span of a few minutes. The sky is clear, therefore there's no tornado danger. It's like, are you stupid or ignorant or just flat out dishonest, or you just not really have a clue? Because anyone who has lived in any place with a humid summer, whether that's, I live in the Southeast, I know how it is, but the Southeast, the Northeast, the Midwest, basically anywhere that's not the West Coast, they will know how stupid that comment is, okay? I live here in Florida. We know. All you guys who live basically on the geographic East Coast, we all know, right? Especially in the summer, 1 minute it is clear out, the next minute it's pouring rain, there's lightning strikes, and in places like Iowa, in Tornado Alley, those conditions cause tornadoes very often. Like, this is pretty common knowledge, okay? Just because, oh, the sky is clear, that doesn't mean it's safe. And again, let me just remind people one more time, the receipts don't lie, because there was an actual tornado warning in Des Moines, Iowa that day. He didn't just make up the tornado warning, okay? So what are you even trying to prove? Oh, the sky was clear, so then, you know, the meteorologist, that means there's no tornado warning. It's never happened. Okay, all right. Other talking points I saw from some haters on Twitter. You know, some people pointed out, oh, first off, the flights in Des Moines, Iowa were not grounded, so that means it's safe, right? So because the airport in Des Moines was not grounding all the flights immediately, that means it could have done the rally. No, it doesn't work that way, right? They don't always cancel flights, even with a tornado warning. It doesn't mean that it's safe to do what Trump was going to do, which is a huge outdoor gathering, okay? Like, what are you talking about? And then secondly, people pointed out, oh, well, Ron DeSantis actually did an event at a restaurant in Iowa earlier that day, so Trump had no excuse. He clearly could have done the rally. It's like, again, okay? Couple things. Perhaps that is because it was at a restaurant, right? It's earlier in the day in an indoor environment. You know, you're inside. They say to seek shelter. You technically already are. That's a little safer than having everyone drive out to some big open field in Iowa and gather for a huge outdoor rally, okay? I don't know. I'm just saying it's a possibility. And then, well, here's what's funny about it, right? If he did do the rally, let's be honest, folks, if he did do the rally with the tornado warning in effect, what would all the Trump haters say? What would they say? What would the DeSantis people on Twitter say? They'd say, he's endangering supporters by putting them in a tornado warning. He doesn't care about his people. Look at him forcing everyone to come out here, and then he's putting them all in. Okay. We know they would say that. So why am I going to take them seriously here? And then lastly, last thing regarding this, to people like John Cardillo here, what are you trying to argue exactly by saying, hey, look how small Donald Trump's crowd was? Again, this is a right-winger guy. This is a DeSantis guy, okay, not a liberal. So what are you trying to argue? That Donald Trump is less popular in the Republican electorate than your guy, Ron DeSantis, at the moment? Because that's just not true, right? That is empirically untrue. Every poll, both national and statewide in all the different states, are showing it's the opposite of that by a lot. So are you seriously here trying to argue that there's actually more support among Republicans for DeSantis than Trump? Again, if he is your guy, I'm fine with that. Okay, vote for DeSantis, whatever. But don't be dishonest about it. This is just not true, okay? And with that said, I will say on that front, you know, I'm not even making the argument that just because Trump is ahead in the polls means he's objectively the better candidate. I don't believe that. I also think the polls can absolutely change, and, you know, the primary is not locked in stone right now. I know some people have said Trump has locked up the Republican nomination. I don't believe that. I think things can change very fast, and we're still very early into this thing. But still, how are you going to argue that your candidate, is he secretly more popular than Trump, when that's clearly not the case, okay, at the moment? Again, I don't mind you supporting DeSantis. I don't mind you criticizing Trump. But I think this whole Iowa thing has been just dishonest and frankly kind of pathetic to watch. And I don't think it's helping our party. I'll say that. I don't think it's helping the party. I understand that politics have to happen. People have to attack each other. Trump and DeSantis are about to engage in a primary. Of course, they're going to attack each other. But also, when we don't make attacks that, as nasty as they are, when we don't make attacks that are in any way really that constructive or productive, and I'm not saying they can't be nasty, I'm just saying that are just totally, like, you know what I mean? Totally irrelevant. I think that's just tearing our party apart more than it's helping anyone, right? Because I want Republican voters, regardless of who the candidate is, I want Republican voters to leave the GOP primary feeling like, hey, we reached a conclusion. right? We reached a consensus, and this is why this candidate is our guy or not our guy. Or maybe I disagreed with it, but I understand these are the ideological reasons, one triumph over the other. But when this is the state of the Trump DeSantis discourse, your rally is small. Ron DeSantis is a groomer or something. Then we're not getting anywhere, right? We're not getting closer to the answer of who should the nominee be for our party. And so, I think on both sides, the nonsense has to stop. There were, again, valid criticisms of both. The stupidity has to stop. And again, just one last time for the receipts, there was an actual tornado warning in Des Moines, Iowa. It was real. So you guys all just sound stupid, okay? You do. All right. Well, let's see. We've been going live for about half an hour here. Do we get any super chats? I don't believe we do, but let me read a few chats here. Weather is pretty volatile. Exactly. Iowa has very drastic weather. Exactly. Nuance is hard for DeSantis bros. I mean, I will say in defense of the honest DeSantis bros, it's just like that on Twitter in general. So before you come at me saying, whoa, but you Trump people on Twitter are like, I'm saying it's both sides, okay? Listen, there are fine people on both sides and there are not fine people on both sides, okay? And I'm sorry for being actually intellectually honest, okay? Sorry. I need to just, you know how it is. It's just the whole thing is always stupid. DeSantis is trying to nuke the stream. Did we get a lag? It's not a cope. There was a tornado warning. Exactly. And exactly, Michael. And that's what I just said. Imagine the outcry if Trump did the rally during the tornado warning, right? So it's a lose-lose situation. He doesn't do it. He could have done it. He did do it. John Cardillo would have said. You know what all the DeSantis people on Twitter would have said, plus the liberal media. Again, I'm not saying every DeSantis supporter believes this, because I know there's a lot that are good faith about this stuff and they get it and they agree with me about the toxicity of this discourse. But let's be honest. A lot of these people on Twitter would have said, John Cardillo would have said, Donald Trump is endangering his supporters. Okay. So, you know how it is. All right. Well, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, again, you want to super chat the show, questions or comments you want read or answered. I'll check them all in a second, but let's transition here to our last story before the members block. We're going to do 2 more stories on the members block tonight. But our last story here, let's talk about Kanye West, shall we, folks? Over the months, I've gone back and forth with a certain crowd on the internet for saying that Kanye West, all I've said about him is that he's not a serious political candidate, nor some type of strong ambassador or leader for Christian values in American politics. Now, I have maintained, I don't particularly hate Kanye, or Ye as they call him, right? But the guy obviously has mental problems, and perhaps it is true that Hollywood did not start to notice those mental problems until he came out and supported Trump. And I understand that, right? I understand his mental problems, quote unquote, are overplayed for political purposes, but still, he obviously does. He's obviously not there in the head, right? He is an unstable individual who does not belong running any type of serious political campaign, especially not for the White House. And I've also said, right, considering what he said while he was screaming in the Balenciaga, let me say that again, the Balenciaga GIMP mask a few months ago, I don't think that's ever going to happen. He's ever going to be taken seriously in American politics, and it's impossible to do so after that. Now, for doing this, as many of you know, I was ruthlessly attacked by a certain crowd on the internet who proclaimed to me that Ye is red-pilled. Ye is gonna save... Let me say it the way they would say it, actually. Ye is red-pilled. Ye is gonna save the country. Ye 24, right? And here's the real kicker. This is the funniest one. Ye is going to stand for Christianity in politics, right? The Republican Party, Trump, DeSantis, they're not pro-Christian, which, you could argue, you could question the piety of both figures, but still, what they're saying is, Trump and DeSantis are not Christian, But Kanye West, okay, is a serious Christian political leader, okay? The ex-husband of Kim Kardashian is going to be the Christ first, God first leader that this country needs. Now, I pray for Kanye West in his walk with God, but I've never believed that he was some type of leader on that front. And honestly, anyone with eyes could have seen that all along. He is an unstable and unpredictable person at best. Okay, and perhaps his walk with Christ is sincere. I'm not here to comment on that. Perhaps the whole Christian thing, it's 100% sincere. But if that's the case, I would still say I think he's way too young of a Christian for him to run this political campaign that's supposedly all about Jesus. And all the other Republicans, they don't really proclaim Christ, but Kanye West is the one that does, right? And for the record, I don't think I would say I'm too much of a baby Christian to run a political campaign that would be centered all around Christ as the main topic, for the record. But Kanye, look at him, I mean, especially, right? But with that said, for all the people who told me for so many months, Ye is about Christianity. Ye is going to bring God back into politics. Okay, well, I want to show you what Kanye West was up to this weekend, right? And these are some photos from I believe it was called the Yeezy rave party that he threw this weekend. Now, I will warn everyone, full disclaimer, okay, before I show it, there is no nudity here, but it comes a little close, okay? So if you don't want to see it, women and children especially, cover your eyes, okay? Warning you here, but I have to demonstrate to you what I'm talking about because his sycophants won't believe me otherwise, okay? Here it is. All right? I'll leave it on the screen for a few seconds and then, okay, all right, fine. Let's get it off. All right, did you see it? Okay. I'm not going to leave it on the screen the whole time here, but that was the fashion art party, I think, or whatever that was, that Kanye West, again, America First, Christ is King political candidate, supposedly threw this weekend. Okay? You saw it. I'm not going to show again. Okay? You get it. You get the point. Yeah. I agree with you 100%, right? Even for the standards of art in Hollywood. Art in Hollywood of all, even for those standards, that's like pretty out there, right? That's pretty bad. It's pretty vulgar, right? This is the guy supposedly who's going to bring Christ back into American politics. Are you serious? And this is the guy who's going to stand up to, I mean, just look at that picture. That looks like what we accuse, like the right-wing conspiracy theorists, what they quote unquote, that they think happens at Bohemian Grove, or like in, you know what I mean? That's it right there. That is what happens allegedly in Bohemian Grove. He's out there doing it in the open, right? And this is the guy again who's going to bring Christianity back into American politics, according to a certain crowd of people. Give me a break. Okay? And you can run back on it now and say, oh, well, Vince, okay, but you're right now about Ye. But you know what? Even if you want to come and make the excuse, well, now you're right. Now you're vindicated, Vince. No, it was clear from the start. I was right from the start about this. So let me ask that question to the people who seriously ever thought this would be a good idea. It did not occur to you when you saw a mentally ill rapper in a Balenciaga mask. Let me say that again. A Balenciaga mask screaming about H-word because for no other reason that he was mad at Pete Davidson for cucking him with Kim Kardashian. It never occurred to you guys that maybe the guy was never a serious political actor to begin with. You never stopped to think, and when you saw this interview, you never stopped to think, what the heck was that? I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so, because anyone with eyes could see from the start that what was going on with Kanye, and you could tell the guy was unstable, unpredictable, and most of all, unserious. I'm sorry, but it really is not a surprise to me or anyone with an IQ above 50 and who's honest with themselves that, like, hey, Kanye West is not really the guy primed to run a serious Christian campaign for president. And look, again, I've been trying to tell you this. But let me say this. In fairness, like I said, I do not despise Kanye West as a human being. Okay? I think he needs help. I think he's off the hinges. But if you like Kanye's music, fine. I think he's a talented artist too. If you want to even argue with me that his whole Christian arc, from the start of 2017, 2018, whenever it started, that whole Christianity thing, sincere or not, was a net positive for faith in this country, right? Just the fact that he, even if it wasn't really all the way there, the fact that he was just kind of saying Christ's name in the public spotlight in Hollywood. If you want to argue, all things considered, for the good or bad, that was more of a positive than a negative, again, I can understand that. I would actually agree with that. I do think that sort of original Christian arc did push forward the faith in this country. So if you want to say those things, fine. If you want to still listen to his music after all the controversy, go ahead. But to seriously look me in the eyes and continue to pretend to me like this guy belongs at the helm of any Christian or conservative movement in this country, that he belongs as the leader of anything, is absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? It's not just ridiculous now that this happened. It always has been. It's ridiculous now that he's doing Bohemian Grove looking rituals. And it was ridiculous back then when he was screaming about blank in a Balenciaga mask because he was mad at Pete Davidson. Okay? You could argue it's ridiculous, it's outrageous, but the one thing it never has been is serious. And so, I'm curious at this point as to whether all the people who attacked me along the way for, why are you counter-signaling? Yeah, you're counter-signaling. Would you ever offer me an apology because I was right all along and I've been trying to tell you this since the Alex Jones and Tim Pool stuff? Probably not. But there you have it, right? For the 1% of the population, less than that, who actually thought Kanye West was going to save the country, well, there you have proof of what us haters and seethers have been saying for so long. And for the record, again, I pray for Kanye. I'm not here to comment on his salvation or his sincerity, okay? Because I will even say, we do stumble and fall back on our old ways sometimes. That was really bad. But also he has mental problems, but also it's like, that's his old life. It's easy to fall back. So I'm just, maybe that's cope. I'm just saying, I'm not even here to comment on that. I do pray for the guy. But regardless, I would say that even if his Christianity is sincere, let's just say it's genuine, Kanye still, you look at something like that, he's clearly too young of a Christian and way too unstable in his walk with Christ to be the leader of any movement about Christ, okay? So hopefully the disaster we saw this weekend finally closes that book, okay? Closes the case, hopefully for good. Yay 24 is a stupid idea. It always has been. It always has been. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our main stories here tonight. Again, I'm going to do like 2, actually maybe 3 stories on the members block. So be sure to become a channel member to access. I'll probably need about 20 minutes, so maybe give me 20 minutes between the end of this stream and then we'll start because I got to prepare the next stories. But on the members block tonight, we'll be discussing, really, I might add a third topic, okay? We're going to be discussing, number 1, the Transformers turning transgender, okay? It's funny too. I made the joke for so long, okay? People were like, Vince, why do you always call them Transformers? Why do you always call them Decepticons? That's not politically correct. Well, as you'll find out on the members block, I was just trying to tell you. I said it at the time. I said, that is actually the new politically correct slogan. You guys just don't know what you're talking about. I'm ahead of the curve. And then here we are. What did I tell you? I said what I've always said about the Transformers thing. I've said, you think I'm just memeing, you think I'm just mocking, I'm just ahead of the curve. They're going to become the Transformers. And then what do we see? As you'll see on the members block, the Transformers are actually trans. They're actually trans. Okay, so that's story number 1 on the members block tonight. Story number 2, Lindsey Graham committing GOP political suicide by saying that he wants to cut Social Security and Medicare because, the same guy who continues to vote for billions and billions to Ukraine and by the way, I haven't even heard him talk once about cutting actual welfare. You want to actually go after the scammers who don't deserve it. you can go after welfare. Most welfare claims are fraudulent or lazy people. Like, that's actually true. But no, he's not even go after that. He says, Social Security and Medicare, the thing that people actually pay into, number one, and the thing number two that actually most of the core Republican electorate, your senior citizens and you're about to be senior citizens, actually care about that stuff. He's out here saying, well, we're going to touch that. So we got to talk about Lindsey Graham. And then last story, you'll find out on the members block. So again, join the channel membership to access the members block tonight. Link in the description. And if some of our mods can post a link in the chat, that would be helpful. But anyways, while we're still live on the normal stream, let's get to super chats, ladies and gentlemen. So again, if you want to donate to a podcast studio so we can start bringing in college classmates to like debate about politics live, okay? All your donations this month are going to hopefully go to the VinceDao Studio Fund. So it's all greatly appreciated. And as usual, you got a question or comment that you want read or answered on the show, I'm reading them all. I'll read all the super chats tonight. So with that said, let's get into these super chats here. All right. Dollar for $5, thank you very much, says, people come into restaurants on Mother's Day and are jerks. It's not the waiter's fault that they're a 3-time felon who wants to make their mama happy. Okay, thank you for the $5, dollar for dollar. Hope you had a good Mother's Day. As you know, I'm sure you are the 3-time felon we're talking about. Sandra Meyer for $2 says, wasn't Ye a black Hebrew Israelite at some point? I don't know if I would call him a total black Hebrew Israelite, but yes, theologically, he is of that belief, right? That the black people were the original Israelites, which is a core black nationalist, black Hebrew Israelite belief kind of talking point. It's also a conspiracy theory, by the way. It's not true. So yes, there are beliefs of his that you could identify as being aligned with the black Hebrew Israelites, absolutely. And, and the whole black people or the real Israelites is one of them. So yes, that is true. Thank you for the $2, Sandra Meyer. Hope that answers your question. Let's see what else we got here. Dollar for $5. Thank you very much, says, oh, by the way, let's add a new rule to the stream, okay? You guys like the Mr. Miyagi voice every time? I read super chat, okay? Wax on, wax off the super chats. Let's make a new rule, okay? Because I can't read every dono in the Miyagi voice. So maybe the new rule on the channel, or at least for the night, donos above $10 will be read in the Miyagi voice. Okay, so if you want to, your donos read in the Miyagi voice, they got to be above 10. Anything below 10, I'm going to read in the regular voice. Deal. By the way, I'm losing my voice. I've been traveling all weekend. Can you hear it? Do you hear the ugly rasp in it? All right, anyways. Dollar for $5 says, in 1964, the biggest song was I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles. Now the most popular song is WAP. Actions speak louder than words, except for Hawkins. Okay, thank you for the $5, dollar for dollar. It is very true. Back then, the most popular song, love song, I Want to Hold Your Hand, how wholesome. Now it's wet blank blank. I, however, would make the case, you guys know how I feel about the Beatles, right? I would make the case the Beatles were the start of the decline of American culture, okay? And I know we're going to get Beatles heads in the chat that disagree with that. That's fine. I'm just saying that it has always been my view, and it's been a consistent view, that all along, the Beatles were, I believe the same thing Elvis believed, okay? Elvis believed the Beatles were communist subverters coming into American culture. And I think I would tend to agree. Okay? Because before the Beatles, the standard of like a boy band, quote unquote, or a male artist, they were all like Chads, Elvis, total like traditionally masculine guy, the whole story there. And then the Beatles come in, they look all weird, they sound all weird. John Lennon was an actual communist. The ones who lived beyond him were total liberal Democrats still to this day. I really am of the conspiracy theory, okay? The Beatles are communist infiltrators into American culture. And in many ways, they are to blame for the slippery slope of the standards of our musical artists going down. But that's going to be a hot take, okay? The Beatles fans in chat, they're not going to be happy, but that's how I've always felt about them, all right? But thank you for the $5, dollar for dollar. Sheeny Beanie for $2 says, Dino Nuggets or chicken thighs for dinner. Is that even a question? The answer is obviously chicken thighs, okay? Here's the thing. Dino Nuggets, yes. Classic of when we were all kids and whatnot. But who makes them? Tyson Foods? You mean chicken that's all treated with a million different hormones, fed crap, not organic, full of chemicals, hormones, estrogen, whatever else? You know, and I'm not saying chicken thighs are immune from that, but at least chicken thighs, ingredients-wise, are generally more natural. You can get organic grass-fed chicken thighs that are not full of Brandon World Economic Forum poison all over the place. So I'm easily going to say chicken thighs for dinner, 100%. And that's not even a competition, okay? We love the Dino Nuggets as you know, nostalgia as kids. But, you know, Tyson Foods, really, you know, they're poison. They're poison. So true. A friendly medic for $5 says, get bean soy beanly to debate and to bean it up. A friendly medic. I don't think most of my chat knows what that means. You know, whenever you guys come in the chat saying bean it up, I know what it means. You know what it means. But there's a whole audience here of random conservative YouTube people that are like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Thank you for the $5. And yeah, bean it up. Real and true, okay? They will not be beaning it up for Kanye West anymore. From what I've heard. Allegedly. Dollar for $2 says, we love the Beach Boys. The Beach Chads. Yeah, Beach Boys over Beatles 100%. 100%. The Beach Boys were cool. Okay, they were actually cool. And their music sounds much better. Their music sounds much better. Hot take, I'm not a big fan of Beatles music. Like, even with my maybe it's kind of an overlap thing, but ideological differences aside, I still just don't think I think the Beatles have very overrated music. This fly is a menace, dude. Okay? This guy, he just keeps flying in my face. I'm trying to do the show. Hey! And I can't get him either. He's so fast. This is terrible, okay? This is just, you know, who sent this fly? Who sent this fly to terrorize us? The fly is literally beating it up all over my room. Canadian $10 from Andrew M says, your take on the Beatles is correct. The song Imagine is the atheist national anthem and for secular Hollywood. Oh, it's straight up communist. You read the lyrics, that's exactly what it is. It's like the original Marxism. You know what I mean? The original, because they say, oh, but there's no government. What Marx envisioned is the song Imagine, okay? So this is real and true. Andrew for $50, big donation. Let's go, Andrew. Shout out, Andrew. I need the sound effects. We don't have sound effects. Pretend they're sound effects. Dun 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 dun. So true. Thank you, Andrew, for the $50. Hey, this will surely go to the podcast studio. Okay, you guys are not ready. You guys are not ready for this. It's true. Thank you for the $50, Andrew. I appreciate it very much. Like I said, if a quarter of the people watching this show donate like $5, $5 to $10, we have enough for the podcast studio, okay? And when we have the podcast studio, they're not ready. They're not ready for the content that's going to ensue. Sandra Meyer says, where's the Miyagi voice? Well, he didn't put anything in the chat. I can't, but I can say, Andrew M. Hey, Andrew M. Thank you for $50. Hey. How do you say thank you in Japanese? I know konnichiwa, but that's not it. I'm just gonna konnichiwa. Okay. I wax on, wax off that super chat. So real, so real. Enclave Nationalist for $5. Thank you very much. Big super chat, by the way. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Let's go, Andrew. I've never even seen him in the chat before. I don't even know who that is. Thank you, Andrew. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Good to meet you. He did a $10 one. Let me check. No. This is a different Andrew. There's Andrew M. I know Andrew M. I'm talking about this Andrew. I've never seen him before. Enclave Nationalist for $5 says, I took a photo of me flipping off the pride flags at my school. Well, thank you for the $5, Enclave Nationalist. Don't post that, okay? In fact, I would argue don't put that in the hands of anyone. Not because, whatever. I'm just saying, I know you've expressed concern before. Oh, you're not going to be able to get a job, college, whatever. Okay. So I'd say keep that photo very close to here. All right. Don't show it to anyone, ideally. And I would say don't even put it in iCloud because you can get hacked. That's up to you. That's up to you, though. That's up to you. Oh, arigato. Thank you, Andrew. Arigato, Andrew. By the way, guys, we're at 94 likes. Let's get the stream to 100 likes. What are we all waiting for? Let's do it. And we'll go for about like 10 to 15 more minutes here. So any last super chats you want to send in, any last thoughts, feel free to send them in. Let me check Streamlabs. Let me make sure we didn't get any over on Streamlabs. Which, by the way, I feel like I can't talk today. I don't know what it is. I know what it is. We barely had any sleep. And I have like the jet lag voice. Do you hear it? It sounds so gross. It's like, I sound like Anthony Richardson. Do you guys know who Anthony Richardson is? That's my former school's quarterback. But you ever hear him talk in the press conferences? He's always like, I thought we had a good game. I got to get better. That's what I sound like. I literally sound like him right now. I had a good game. So true. Robert Jimenez for $10. No message, but he sends the 10, so I gotta... Robert Jimenez, send $10. No message. They always say, okay, Miyagi-san always say, he super chat with no message, send loudest of all. He who went super chat with word, have diluted super chat. The best meaning of life you learn from no text super chat. That's so true, Mr. Miyagi. I've heard him say it all the time. That's his most underrated lesson. It was actually cut from the movies, right? Wax on, wax off. Get squished like grape. Life all about the balance. Life all about the balance. But the one they cut out is a deleted scene, actually, of Karate Kid, is the one where he explains, Daniel-san, it's 1980, but no matter, okay? 1984, they already have YouTube, okay? Listen, you get super chat with no text is best super chat. Because they send strongest message. It just say, I love the content. But super chat with message, they say, he just want to have his text read, okay? So it is super chat with no message. Send loudest voice of all. It's true. It's true. Thank you, Mr. Miyagi. Just like he taught us. Okay. So true. By the way, did you guys know where I'm from, where the first Karate Kid is filmed? Where the original Karate Kids take place? The valley? That's my valley. I'm probably like 20 minutes from... I grew up, I should say. Not right now. I grew up, I should say. Like 20 minutes from where that all takes place. I'm from the West Valley. I'm from the West Valley. This is true. D run for 5. So I met Mr. Miyagi. I don't know if you guys know that. Okay, you're like, Vince, where'd you hear this from? How do you know this was the deleted scene? Well, I met him. Okay, right before he died. I was very young. I met him. He was driving around his big yellow car, and I said, "Hey, Mr. Miyagi, can you teach me something?" He taught me that about the super chats, just so I could bust it out. A decade later. Okay, this is how it goes. This is what happens. Okay. Truest wisdom from Mr. Miyagi. It's so true. It is so true. D Run for $5, thank you very much, says, random fact, the U.S. Border Patrol is the only conservative agency. The FBI has dedicated 22 task forces to monitor BP agents as a threat to our nation. I did not know that. Thank you for the $5, D Run. I've not even heard about that. That's very interesting. So you guys hear that? I don't know if that's verified. You guys have to verify the information for me. But according to D-Run, the FBI has task forces to monitor the Border Patrol because there's so many conservative Border Patrol agents out there. And I guess I'd understand. I mean, if you're in the situation of Border Patrol, you might want to Fed post, quote unquote, too. And so that's crazy, though. That is absolutely insane. Yeah. Thank you for the $5, D-Run. Had no idea. And someone want to look that up? All right. Yo, we got super chat. Oh, hey, from Zachary Menentet for 20. Arigato, Zachary. Arigato. He say, hot take. Sorry. Jet lagged here. Hot take. The decline of America didn't start with Beatles, but with Orwell in 1984. Just look at Winston's perspective on the proles in his relationship with Julia to realize Orwell was communist and degenerate. Thank you for $20, Zachary Menedet. But what I would say is, I don't know 1984 have such big effect on United States, okay? You know, it was book, we talk about it a lot now, but Miyagi no know if 1984, influenced people so much, But I understand, yes, in many ways, 1984, it kind of what Miyagi call a psyop. Because everyone always say, oh, it's like 1984, the country now, much like 1984, but it's not really true. It's more like Brave New World, right? And yes, it is true. George Orwell kind of leftist. So I kind of see what you are saying. It is kind of overrated book when come to dystopia because it's not, Miyagi don't think it's most accurate. Okay? Miyagi say, an old ancient scroll say much better than 1984. But thank you, Zachary, for $20. Aye, bonsai! God bless you, Zachary. Thank you for the $20 to the podcast fund. Let's go, chat. Daniel McQuaid for $2.79 Canadian says Vince learned everything he knows from Mr. Miyagi. This is true. Okay? Why do you think, I'm so good at the waxing on, waxing off, okay? And why do you think I'm late? Why do you think I'm late to the show every night? You know who taught me that? Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi taught us that. So, yeah, Animal Farm too. That's another one that's actually much more accurate to kind of the current state of things. Burgundy Blue for $2 says, hope you're doing all right, Vince, despite being busy. I'm doing fine. I didn't get a lot of sleep because of the flight. So I feel like my voice is just, it's no good, okay? I should just talk like Miyagi rest of night. Talk like Miyagi rest of night. Gnarl Antler for $5 say till Valhalla. Miyagi no know what Valhalla. Miyagi only know hold on. Miyagi need to Google. He get very old. Oh, Miyagi only know Shinto. Okay, Miyagi know what Miyagi know Valhalla. Miyagi only know Shinto and Koto Matsakumi. Yes. Jonathan Fields says, just read the chats normally. Are you not enjoying the Mr. Miyagi voice? Huh? Jonathan Fields? What are you having? Yeah, he's literally my man. He's literally taught me everything I know. Sandra Meyer says, Vince, do you check your cash apps? I will now. Let me see. I got money in my Cash App. Hold up. Let's check it out. Sorry, I'm like so nasally tonight, dude. It sucks. Oh yeah, Sandra Meyer for $5. She sent this on Cash App on Saturday. Thank you, Sandra Meyer. God bless you. Says for safe travels, brother. God bless. I appreciate it very much. And we did get home. We got there safe. Chat, we are here safe because of Sandra Meyer. It was because of her $5 Cash App. Okay, so yes, Sandra, for you, I will try to check the Cash App at least at the end of every night. Okay, at the end of every night. Enclave nationalists say, speak this as Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi hate Trump, but Mr. Miyagi no hate Trump. Enclave nationalists. Mr. Miyagi see Trump and say, bonsai, bonsai. Is what he say, okay? Miyagi like drink sake when watch Trump speak, okay? He say bonsai! And it's so true. Everyone's like, Vince, Mr. Miyagi's not real. He's a fictional character. How do you know that? I actually met him. Are you from the Valley? No, I am, okay? You don't even know what Reseda is. I've been there. I grew up on the streets of Reseda. Not really, kind of, okay? So you don't know. Everyone's like, oh, he's just in a movie. The cameraman was just filming it, okay? He's a real person. I've been to his house. I've seen it, okay? He's dead now. Rest in peace. But I've seen it. I've literally seen him, okay? Reed O'Brien says, "How did Kanye West 24 explode?" Well, you can watch on the replay. Okay, just watch back on the replay. I'm not gonna go over it entirely, but just watch on the replay. All right, you can probably still rewind right now for a few minutes. Dollar for Dollar says, "Who's gonna make a no context page of Vince?" Thank you for bringing that up. So we used to have one. The guy who runs it is just too busy with school. So here's what I will say. Okay, we do not connect the audience as well on Instagram and YouTube. Okay, so here's what I'll say. Number one. Everyone be sure to follow me on Instagram, okay, at thevincedao. I also have a personal account linked below if you ever want to message me or whatever. I don't respond really to the main DMs, but my personal account. Again, link in the description for that. And we need Instagram fan pages, chat. We need Instagram clips pages specifically, okay? So we have a few on YouTube, like VinceDao Patriot. Shout out to VinceDao Patriot. I think there's one more, but VinceDao, we got that. We got the people who clip this show, but we need that on Instagram, okay? By the way, I have a huge Instagram page. If people don't know this, I have like 170,000 and way better engagement on Instagram too than YouTube. So if anyone wants to start a VinceDao fan page on Instagram, okay, assuming you're not posting something totally stupid, I will repost you, and like I said, it'll blow up really fast, okay? Like it's the easiest place to start a fan page for me is Instagram because I have such a big Instagram myself. So anyone wants to start one, okay? Whatever you want to call it, VinceDao HQ, Dow Zone, whatever. I don't know. Come up with something. Make it your own. Have fun with it. But you will be easily reposted by me. All right. So be sure. Anyone who wants to. D-Run says you shouldn't have read it. He only paid $1.99. True. But I did not follow his commands because he says, "Please say Miyagi hate Trump, but no Miyagi no hate Trump. Miyagi love Trump. Bullseye. You see bullseye." Okay. He say bullseye. LG5 says, "Are you of Japanese descent?" LG5, how dare you? You assume just because eyes look like this and I talk like this, you think I have Japanese descent. Wow. How dare you assume? I'm actually 0% Asian. I looked at my genealogy report. In fact, I have it right here. It says I'm 99.9% Swahili. Okay? So those are my actual genetics. I'm 99.9% Swahili, and the other 1% is Afrikaan. Okay? So there's if you're ever curious what my genetics are, those are my genetics. All right, with that said, folks, I'm going to end in like 4 minutes, okay? So any last super chats you want to send in, any last donations to the studio fund, okay, to build the podcast studio out in the living room, feel free to do so. And again, give me about 20 minutes after that. We will be doing a members block of the show tonight, which since we're on it, I might as well try to post the link myself in the live chat, okay? So let me pull that up for you guys. If I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Okay. All right, I'm gonna post right now. This is the link for the membership. You can access the member block at any tier, so the cheapest tier is fine. Although I will say this summer I want to do a masterclass. I want to start teaching masterclasses for the tier 3, the VinceDao Nationalist. So that's like the $15 a month one. But I want to start teaching masterclasses on stuff like how to use social media for business or personal purposes, like how to blow up on it. Because I'm actually like pretty experienced with that. I feel like I have things I can contribute on that front. So stuff like that. Stuff like, tips for anyone who wants to do right-wing content of their own or something like that. Kind of walk you through that whole process. So again, if you're interested in that, we're going to start doing that this summer for the tier 3. But if you just want to access the members block, tier 1 is fine. Let me post the link here, okay? Join us on the members block. All right, here we go. There you go. All right. It's posted in chat, so there you go. Let's see here. Soup Person for $2. First super chat from Soup Person. Let's go. Shout out Soup Person. I'd have to imagine they're a big fan of soup. I don't know. What kind of soup is that in the picture? That's basic soup. The basic chicken noodle soup. What are you, basic or something? That's not even creative Soup Person. All right. You gotta get creative. I want to see some oxtail stew. All right. Anyways, for the $2, it says Vince is clearly a proud Italian American. You know, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay, and then I did a 23andMe, and it turns out I'm 0.9% Swahili African. So, you know, I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I guess I'm adopted or something. I always thought to myself, you know, but I guess I'm Swahili African. Okay. Anyways, Burgundy Blue for $10. Thank you very much. Says, fast fact or fun fact, the Pale of Settlement was an area established by the Russian Empire in 1791. The region, which consisted of Poland, Belarus, and Ukraine, were the only area that Jews could legally live in until 1917. I did not know that, Burgundy Blue. Interesting historical fact there. Thank you for the $10, Burgundy Blue. Burgundy Blue for another $5 says, oh, sorry, I was supposed to read that in Miyagi. Too late. He said $9.99. It's technically not 10. And then he says another 5 says, that is why historically there were so many Jewish immigrants in America from Poland and Ukraine, but not many from Russia itself. I never even knew that. Thank you for the $5, Burgundy Blue. Very interesting. Michael says Vince is actually Bantu. He's just been covering it up. You know, that's true. Maybe the 23andMe is wrong. Maybe I am actually Bantu. All right? Maybe I actually am. Is cereal soup? That's a good question, chat. That'll be the last question of the night. Is cereal soup? Do I have to put out the poll? Let's do it. Start a poll. Is cereal soup? All right, I'll leave this open for like a minute or two, and then we'll call it a night. All right. Thoughts on applesauce? I'm not the biggest fan of applesauce. I despised it growing up. Okay. It's not food. It's like mush. And the reason I was so against applesauce is because I always knew that the educational industrial complex was just trying to feed me applesauce because it was a literal mush. And it's not even good. It's not even like sweet. It just sucks. It's not even pudding. At least pudding is good. Applesauce, disgusting, starvation food. I could not tell you how anti-applesauce I am. It is one of the worst things ever made. And anyone out there says it was actually good when I was a kid. Yeah, because you didn't have standards. It's literally mush. They're literally trying to feed you mush. Do you not understand this? Anyways, Gnarl Antler for $5, thank you very much, says, are you on the James Lindsay thing? Woke is Maoism with American characteristics. Thank you very much for the $5. Not super familiar with James Lindsay, but absolutely, I've thought that for a long time. The closest historical example to kind of the United States' fall to Marxism and leftism is not so much like Stalin or, I don't know, even modern China, right? It's more so Mao, specifically in the Cultural Revolution, right? Tearing down Confucianism, tearing down everything that is old, targeting the people and institutions that represent that which is old, using the youth as the bludgeon to do that, to do progressivism, quote unquote. I absolutely agree. I think if you were to make a historical comparison, yes, the woke, quote unquote, is closest historically to Maoism than any other historically successful, quote unquote, in the sense that it took power, form of communism. So yeah, let's see. Let me find the applesauce defenders in chat and listen to their arguments really quickly. I do not like applesauce unless it has butter and cinnamon and is heated up. That sounds good. But yeah, the stupid applesauce in the cups, disgusting. Mark says, I'll eat your share of applesauce. You can have it, okay? People be like, I will not eat the bugs. I will not eat the World Economic Forum mush soup. And it's like, okay, but you're eating applesauce, okay? What do you think that is? It's true. All right, anyways, with that said, folks, we close out the poll. 80% said that cereal is not soup, so there's your answer. All right, before we go, let's get the stream to 150 likes. And if I do not see you on the members block, again, join the channel membership. Again, give me about like 20 minutes. I got to set up the stuff for the stream. But if I do not see you on the members block, then with that said, have a good night, everyone. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Eastern time, live here on the channel for episode 42 of The Vince Dao Show. Until the next time I see you, though, Alpha moves only. Everyone have a very good night. God bless, and Mr. Miyagi say, arigato for tuning in. God bless. Peace. Hey. Bonsai!